Welcome back, everyone. Today on the corner, we're going to learn how to back up our firmware for our Tronxy printers. Stay tuned. Hey, everyone. So one of the biggest questions that is left in the comments below is how to back up your firmware. One, if you don't know, you probably shouldn't. It's a process. It's not that complicated, but you run a risk of bricking your board, and you just have to go buy a new board, right? Like, that's not cool. You won't have a functioning printer. So the best way to back up your firmware, honestly, is to email Tronxy. Now, there's a catch with this. If you ask them for your firmware, they are going to direct you to the web link that will give the firmware the G code part of your firmware. They won't actually give you your firmware for your motherboard. You have to specifically ask for the CDB file, the update CDB file. It's very important. I'll have a screenshot of my email to them of getting that firmware and how I worded it and then how I received it, so you guys can all see the easiest, safest way to get your firmware. But I figured out how to download the firmware. The information's out there on the internet. It took me a couple days of research to figure it out. I'm going to share it with you. I'm going to do this a bit old school. I'm kind of cleaning up down here. I'll be moving the camera around a bit. We'll be looking at the laptop through the camera because I don't have screen capture down here. But it should give you all the tools you need in order to successfully download a backup of your firmware from your motherboard, keep it in a safe spot, and then re-upload the firmware to your motherboard. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to have Tronxy firmware loaded up on the printer. I'm going to show you the program that you need and the steps on how to download your firmware off your motherboard. Once you have your firmware, you're going to save that. So, put it on a USB stick, hide it somewhere. You want to keep that safe so you always have it, okay? Then I'm going to load Marlin firmware on to the Tronxy. And after that, I'm going to try to flash back the firmware that I downloaded onto my computer back onto the board. Okay, so basically we're on Tronxy right now. I'm going to download a backup of my firmware. I'm going to switch it over to Marlin, and I'm going to use that backup to put back into the printer. Okay? All right, so let's get started. All right, before we get started, you're going to need to download STM32 Flash Loader. They have a demo version of it. I will post the link below in the description of the website. You're going to get software. It will ask you, I've already done this on this computer, but I believe it will ask you for your email, and then you'll have to, it will send you a verification link. And once you confirm the verification link, it will allow you to get the software. So once you get the software and install it, you'll get a, let's see here, a pretty, you open it all up and you'll get this screen, okay? The only thing is that your COM port might be different. So let's see here. I'm going to turn this on. So just so you can see, it's on Tronxy firmware right now. You can hear by the familiar beeps. All right. And I'm going to show you what you need to do. So I'm going to power off the printer. So this is your motherboard. All right, here, let me just get this out of the way so you can see. All right, I've taken off Mine's the V6 board, so I have this ribbon cable. I've taken that off from out of here. Now this is the important part. You're going to do two things to your motherboard right now. What you're going to do is there is right over here. Move that wire for you so you can see. There's a jumper there. It's your boot jumper. You're going to take that completely off. Okay. Then on this side right here, where'd it go? Right here. Let's see if I can see that here. There we go. That's better. Right here, there's a jumper and it says V5 or USB. I'll take some pictures of these for you guys too. Right. And what you're going to do is you're going to switch it over to USB. And that's it. That's the two steps that you have to do beforehand. I know. As I say, I'm doing this freestyle right now. I apologize, but I figure I do the best I can. Then you're going to need a USB connector hooked up to your board, hooked up to your laptop or your computer. So let me just put that in there. All right. So don't make the mistake I just did. All right. I only have it on one jumper here. You need to have it on. So this pin with the 5-volt USB has 3 pins to it. So you need to cover the 2 pins closest to the USB side. Okay. That could be your troubleshooting. When you do that, you should get a little red light there. Don't know if you can see that or not. There you go. There's a little red light there. That means you're in the win. Okay. You're accessing the motherboard. So you see how mine's on COM port 3? Yours may not be. Okay. Target is readable. Click next to proceed. So you're going to click next again. You're going to get to this page. What you're going to do is you're going to upload from device, the device being your motherboard. Once you do that, you're going to click on this side and you're just going to find wherever you want to upload it. I'll just upload it to my desktop. It's an S19 file. I heard you have better luck if you change it to a bin file. So I'm going to change it to a bin file. And I'm just going to call this Tronxy XY2 Pro Firmware. And we're going to open that. And it's going to say this file doesn't exist. Create the file. You're going to go yes. Okay, and it's going to show you this, and you're going to select all, make sure this is all checked off, and you're going to hit OK. Then you're going to hit next, and you're going to wait for it to do its thing. Now again, do this at your own risk. I am currently risking bricking my board right now to show you guys this. I hope I don't. It should be pretty simple. I've done it a couple of times before, but as I say, the easiest way, and I'll state again, just write Tronxy Support and ask them for your update CBD file. Is it CBD? I think it's CBD file. Yes. All right, that is the easiest way to do this. Do not do it this way. This is your first, second, third, fourth, and fifth warning. Easiest way, write Tronxy. You don't even have to play with your printer. Okay? So 75% it's getting there. So the key is, once this is done, we're going to check the file. And we want to make sure it's 512, right? Kilobytes. Make sure it got everything proper. So so it's upload operation finished successfully. So let's close this off. Oh, I had two windows open. Okay, let me just go to my desktop here because I believe that's where I saved it. It's going to be a bin file. Lots of firmware upgrades here, eh? Tronxy Pro firmware bin right there. 512. So that means that I should have a good flash. I'm hoping I have a good flash. I hope this works. Okay, so that's my Tronxy firmware. Let's go back to the printer. Okay, so now we're back at the printer. What we need to do is I'm going to unplug this to make sure there's no power going through the board. I think that's important. Okay, we're going to take that jumper USB to 5 volt. We're going to put that back. We're going to take the other jumper and we're going to put that one on as well. Okay, so we put that on. Now we're going to say a small prayer. We're going to plug the printer in. We're going to plug the printer in. There we go. All right, we're going to turn it on. We're going to hope we hear those familiar Tronxy beeps. We hear those familiar beeps. We're going to look at the screen, and we have our Tronxy firmware in there. All right. Well, wasn't that fun? I'm going to turn this off again. Okay, so flashing Marlin now, and as you can see here, those familiar beeps. There's Marlin, right? Beautiful. Okay, so Marlin is now flashed. So let's review here. All right, review time. Okay, so we've backed up our firmware onto our laptop. We have Marlin now installed in the printer. We're going to use the firmware file from the laptop with the Tronxy firmware to reinstall it onto the printer. Okay? Now back to our regular scheduled program. All right. Hey, look, it's our regularly scheduled program. All right. So let's review. We're going to turn off the power. Oh, actually, we're going to turn on the power, because I want to show you that Marlin's still on here. I'm going to try and do this without a cut. There's Marlin, firmware. All right, peekaboo. Marlin firmware. Okay. Let's get the camera set up here so you guys can see kind of what's going on. Yeah, I'm sorry. There we go. All right. So we're going to turn off the power. We're going to remove the boot jumper. We're going to move over from 5 volt to USB that jumper. We are then going to, oh yeah, so sorry, right here, this little white button here, or hang on, right underneath this thing here, there's a little white button. That is your board reset. Okay, that will come in handy if it's not reading your board from the COM port. So you're gonna want to have a look at that. So we're gonna plug in the USB cable. We're gonna try to plug in the USB cable. There we go. Okay, and now we're gonna go to the laptop. Change the angle a little bit. There we go. Okay, we're now going to load the program. demonstrator GUI. We're up there. See if we can find my port. It's a column 3 port. We're going to go next, next, next. Now we're going to download to device. We're going to download the file that we had. It was on my desktop. And it was, you see how it says S19 here? You're going to want to change that to a bin file. Okay. Then you're going to look for your Tronxy XY2 Pro bin firmware, the firmware I just made. You're going to click on that. We're going to open it. Go to next. Say a little prayer. And wait for this to continue. As I do this, just want to say again, the easiest way to get your firmware, repeat after me. Email Tronxy. Email Tronxy. Ask for the CBD file. They'll be happy to send it to you. I will show you the email I sent them, and they were very happy to send it to me. But again, this is a video that we're going to do showing how this gets downloaded onto the board. So it's at 55% now. I don't think there's a way to tell if it's taking the flash or not until after you've done it successfully, hopefully. Again, try this at your own risk. I can't repeat that enough. Like, you know, it's making me nervous as heck just doing this, because personally, right now, I'm doing this. It's very unnecessary. I don't need to do it. I have a backup of my firmware. I'm just doing this to show people if they, for some reason, can't get a backup of their firmware, this is the way that you can do it. And hopefully, I should be successful. All right. Back over here now. So you guys probably know these steps already. If not, we'll repeat them. Unplug the power. We are going to change the boot driver from USB, or sorry, the USB 5 volt back to 5 volt. There we go. I think that's in. Yeah, just make sure it's in properly. And then we're going to put the boot jumper back on. Boot jumper's on. That's on. Power is plugged in. We are going to hope and pray we have Tronxy firmware. Look at that. Tronxy firmware. All right, so we have successfully taken our firmware off of the board, and we have successfully put that firmware back on the board after we've upgraded to Marlin. You all know what I'm going to say right now. Email Tronxy. You can do it this way. No problem, but there's always a risk of bricking your board this way. Please, please, please email Tronxy Support. I'll even put the link in the description for this video. All right? Okay, so thanks a lot for watching. Thank you for experiencing my stress with me, because I did not want to blow this board because I don't have another one and I'd be down a printer. Hopefully some of you can use this as an educational purpose. As I said, a lot of questions I get are, how do you back up your firmware? This is the manual way to do it. It works. It's nerve-wracking. Okay? So yeah, just please, I beg you, email Tronxy, okay? All right, everyone. You guys have a great day. Peace out. Stay safe.